Peace, everybody. My name is Kevante Demery, aka Arkhós. And today I'll be going over 3 important topics when it comes to the very first intro to AI and automation program for high school students and underserved high school youths. So the 3 things I want to cover today is 1, the problem that I'm solving, especially for the Black diaspora and the Black community. Number 2, I want to be talking about exactly what frozen imagination is. I want to talk about exactly what my business and my nonprofit is and exactly what we're providing to these kids. And lastly, I'll talk about how you can support, whether that's sponsorship, grants, donations, or partnerships. So let's get into it. So number 1, AI and AI automation. So AI and AI automation and no-code automation tools are still in this early phase at this stage. It's only been a thing for maybe about a year or two. This year in particular, I've personally spent all of my entire year learning these particular tools, whether that's N8N, Make.com, Zapier, Lovable, coding tools like Vercel, Cursor, the new Google AI Studios as well is a really important one. Learning these tools are very important for the next generation as we go forward in the future. A lot more things will be automated. A lot of things we do manually now won't be done manually in the future. So that's gonna take a lot of processes out of jobs. There are certain jobs that will be taken. By the time kids, high school kids, middle school kids, elementary school kids are looking for jobs and careers, the entire job market will look a lot different. So the problem that I'm solving is putting my community, putting the Black community ahead of the game and creating avenues of success in the future of the world for our youth so that we're not left behind like every other point of history. So just to give a brief kind of overview of what I mean by that, throughout history, there are certain patterns. There are important times of history where there was a shift, whether that be finance, jobs, world problems. Think of it like this. So I want to point out some patterns within history on how the Black community simply just didn't benefit from these shifts within society. So number 1, the industrial age. So this was like the late 1800s to early 1900s, where we had, machines, factories, things of that nature. So who benefited from this new boom? Factory workers, engineers, industrialists, people with skills and trades. So what happened to the Black community during this time? We were excluded from ownership of any of these. Obviously, this was pre-Jim Crow. This was pre-Jim Crow and pre-civil rights. So, our rights at this time period, we didn't have any back in this era anyway. So, we were locked out because of Jim Crow laws and segregation. So we couldn't benefit from this. So what was next? The manufacturing boom. So this was post-World War II. And this pretty much made the middle class, created middle class jobs, especially if you got in early. And this benefited union workers, factory managers, and a lot of companies were able to scale at mass due to this new boom, this new technology. And what happened to the Black community again? We were often hired last and fired first. Redline when it came to home ownership, especially near these jobs. And when manufacturing declined, it hit our communities first. this is another pattern in history. When something booms that creates opportunities, we get the low end of the stick. I'm saying all this because I want you guys to pick up a pattern in history of what happens within our community. Next is the computer/office tech boom. So this is when computers got introduced into businesses, when you had more white collar jobs, and companies were able to be more productive and have more productivity as they had the computers take care of a lot of the manual labor. Who benefited from this? Those with computers and the money and the wealth. Those who had college degrees in these fields, who were introduced into these, predominantly white colleges. They weren't at HBCUs. And corporations that were able to digitize and monopolize these skills to get ahead of the game. And again, what happened to the Black communities? Schools lacked the funding for computers. We didn't have access to the internet. We didn't have access to computers. We didn't have access to technology. So by the time these things were set in stone, we are already behind the 8-ball. We're always behind. This is the pattern I want you guys to pick up. We are always behind. Anytime there's a new boom, other groups benefit, enter these fields, get degrees, certifications, jobs, wealth, and we lag behind and we get the low end of the stick. We get the bottom of the barrel. This is the pattern I want you guys to pick up. I'm gonna give you one more example before I get into the point with AI. The .com boom or the .com bubble. So this changed how the internet created, businesses overnight, right? Everyone's able to create websites. Everyone's able to create digital. This is the beginning of digital products. Websites, e-commerce, startups, first wave of digital millionaires. And what happened to the Black community? Limited access to the internet, limited exposure to not only capital but startups, funds, no capital to fund our ideas, or even the wherewithal to even get into this space. The internet created generational wealth, and we just didn't benefit from that. So now, where do we live in now? We live in an AI age, right? This is the next .com bubble. This is the next manufacturing age. This is the new technology boom. This is the next new thing. So how can we change the course of history in these patterns? Because if patterns repeat themselves, we have to do something different to disrupt that pattern. AI is a new opportunity for us as a people to disrupt that pattern. So what we're going to see within AI is AI replacing repetitive jobs or repetitive work, automating and scaling small teams, creating more systems than, manpower, and it's going to be more skill-based than degree-based, as in you could have a degree for something, but because I have experience and skill in a certain category, that person would get picked over the person with the piece of paper. That's what we're moving into. So, who will benefit from this? System builders, automation engineers, and people who understand workflows, how data works, and how these AI tools work. So, I say all that to lead into my second point. What exactly is frozen imagination, and what exactly separates us from any other tech business or company? So I want you to imagine this. So there's this pattern that's keep reoccurring, right? And it flows like this. What my business intends to do is to go like that. We're gonna stop this pattern of us not benefiting from ownership, wealth, being excluded from jobs, being excluded from opportunities of money, being excluded and put into positions of poverty. That's what I intend to do for Black community, especially underserved Black communities. I intend to teach these kids, these skills of the future. So when they are, my age, or, at the age to go to college, and as they grow up in this new world where, we have this AI boom, they can benefit from it financially. They can have ownership over their property. They can have their own website, software. They can have their own clients. They understand the school, they understand the skills. They understand how workflows work. They understand how data works. They understand how the AI works. As the AI improves, as the software improves, they're being updated, and that's improving their own process. So that way they always have a place and a space in the future. So that way we're never in a situation where we're getting the low end of the stick anymore. So that's exactly what this program is. So we want to start off with the group of kids that we have now, and then we're going to expand, and we're going to keep giving our kids tools of the future, so we're no longer always getting the low end of the stick or getting into any trend or anything that's too late. This AI automation space is only going to expand. It's only going to, the way I see it, as someone who considers himself a futurist and someone who sees patterns from the past to predict future outcomes, on the automations and workflows is something that's going to be normalized within society, and it's going to be necessary for medium-sized to large-sized businesses in order to compete with the enterprise corporate level businesses within America, right? Companies going to need to cut back on manpower. Companies going to have to cut back on time. Companies going to have to be more productive and use and be more resourceful in the future. And instead of hiring 5 to 6 people to do something, they're going to hire one person who can automate a bunch of tasks, or 1 to 2 people, or however you want to cut it and slice it. So it's important that we benefit from this and be in a position of ownership and leadership over a place of poverty and having to work for someone else. So that's what I intend to teach the kids within my program. So with all that being said, so what exactly is this money going towards? So this money is going towards access to different softwares, right? These kids need ChatGPT. These kids need accounts to Superbase. These kids need accounts to Lovable. They need Google AI Studios for API keys, different educational tools, transportation to get these kids back home, food. I would like to feed these kids. These are underserved, underprivileged kids. I want to put food in their bellies and show them that I really care about them, because I do. Also, once we start taking business trips, right? I want to take these kids to show these guys what a business looks like, how it operates, network with different businesses within the community, which I've already, got the ball rolling on. But take these kids into a business to see how it operates, so they can see themselves and where they fit in, and how they can help improve functionalities within that business by being able to observe where they can fit in and what workflows they can build to help manage and help the operation move smoother, whether that's saving money, saving time, saving energy, or cutting back on certain things, right? And after the 6 to 8 week cohort, we'll find these kids businesses to work with in order to gain some experience, and then we'll bring in a new group of kids that we can teach. And then that's how we get the ball rolling, right? The first group goes, they work with businesses. We bring in a new group, we teach them new skills. By that time, the first group has, they're working on their projects. By the time they're done their projects, we get the second group some projects. And then once the first group is done, they'll be able to then find their own paid projects, and then that can, send them out into their own career. So the different type of, sponsorships that I'm looking for. So here is the link to my GoFundMe. I'll try to link that somewhere up here. Anything helps, even if it's $5 to $10, a little bit goes a long way. if you want to sponsor, or I am looking for sponsors that are aligned with what I'm doing. So I'd be more than willing to, sponsor brands or products or even softwares that we can use to market your stuff, and we can benefit each other. Also, mentors. I am looking for people that be willing to come in and do I know workflows? Yes. Do I know apps? Yes. But I also have a group of kids, and I also understand there are people that are more experienced in one particular field, right? I'm a generalist. I know a good amount about everything, but I'll never be able to break something down like a specialist. Like if you only work on workflows or if you only work on apps within a particular niche or a particular field, you'd be more experienced, right? So if this mission is something that you support and something that you be willing to be down to, help assist any of the ideas that I came up with, if this resonates with you, then I'll have the link to everything. Also, my website will have, all the links for anyone that wants to sign up or that wants to just be a part of the mission in the future of technology and how we can own it. How can we get ownership? How can we get ahead of the game? How can we learn to take advantage of these tools to put ourselves in a better position in the future, right? Arkhós out.